Hello friends and families, once again welcome to our database tutorial. This is what we learned in our previous video. We then dealt with advantage of using a database, and we talk about this. This is the continuation of our database overview. Once again, my name is Prince Armstrong. You can easily call me Prince Costi. Let's begin with today's lesson. You can write them down and then I'll wrap it up. Then I will take it one after the other. As I just said, the development of a database follows several steps. The first step, you can write it down, that is planning. Then followed by creating. Then followed by what? Editing data. One will call it entering data. So that is entering data. Then we come to editing. Then we come to form design. Then we come to data analysis. Then we come to what? Report design. And the last one, we call it what? Printing what? A report. The development of a database, as I just said, it follows several steps. But let's take each one by one by explaining it. So the first one is what? Is planning. What about planning? What is planning? He said it is the first step in what? In database what? Development. So planning is the first step in database development. Is to understand the purpose of what? Of the database to be what? To be created, and to plan what information your database should hold. Okay, to plan what information your database should hold. Okay, so simply means that to plan what information your database should hold, and the output you need from the database. So here have to be and the output you need from the database. So basically that is just that. So the planning is to understand the database you are about to create, and also the information you want the database should hold, and also you also want to then look at the output you need or you want to generate from the database. So this is the planning. So after planning your database, you can go ahead, you have to create. So what is creating? I said after planning the database, you will need to create a table to hold data by defining the table structure. So the development of a database follow a whole lot of steps. You don't just tap and say I'm designing a database. You have to plan. You plan on you have to get a blank sheet. Okay, you plan and then you get to know, okay, I need employee, let's say employee ID. Okay, you create that employee ID, don't mind me. Then after that you go by saying last name. Okay, so you plan that's the information you want the database should hold. So you do all that, followed by what? First name. Okay, in that manner. So the development of a database follows several steps. After planning, by knowing the type of information you want the database should hold, the output you want to generate from the database, and understanding the database you want to create, then you go ahead to create. So that's what after creating, you say you have to define the table structure, okay, to hold data. So defining the table structure, I will be talking about that practically. So after you plan, you go ahead and create. So after doing that, the next thing you need to do, you need to enter data. You said once table is set up, you will enter what? Data to complete data report. So in other way around, to complete each record. So to complete data, okay, record. So it's supposed to be to complete each record. Okay, is to complete each record, not to complete data record, not to complete each record. After entering data, the next thing you need to do is that you need to edit. You need to edit. Now, making changes to your table is called editing. Once entering data, you are bound to make typing error. So once you are entering data, maybe the person's name is Prince or Armstrong, you can mistakenly make a typographical error. So you making changes to that record is known as what? Editing. Note, this is one type of editing. Another is to review the structure of the table by editing, deleting, or redefining fields information. So it simply means that let's assume that you realize that, okay, the first name have to come before the last name. You can go ahead and move column. But come think of it, you can also decide to also include another field when mistakenly you've forgotten to include another field. You can go to the table structure and do that. So after editing, what do you have to do? You create a form. So after you create a table, you can create a form for easily data entry. So this simply means that form help us to enter record easily. Okay, so for you to enter record into your database very easily, you need to create a form. So okay, so which is very important. So after then creating the form, the next thing you need to look at is what is data analysis or analyzing the data. So you analyzing the data. So to analyze the data stored in the table, you will ask questions called query. So you asking the database a question is called query of the table, okay, of the table data. So which means that of the table that contain the data, you ask questions about it. So you asking those questions whether to find a person's first name, to isolate, how they call it, record from the table that you've created. Such is known as what? Querying. So the result of a query allows you to look at only selected data or to view data in a specific format, which is very important. Now, query is a database object that enables us to ask what a table a question or a database a question. So it helps us to better view or then analyze data in a specific format. So these are the steps involving in database development. So as I just said, the first step is planning. After planning, you create. After creating, you enter data. After entering data, you edit. After editing, you create form design. As I just said, a form design or creating form helps in entering data very easily. Then after that, you analyze data. And I said analyzing data simply means you ask what the database you've created a question by what? By selecting some couple of fields to see whether the database you've designed meets your requirements. So after doing that, the next thing is so you create a report. To be able to print your data in a professional and attractive format. I like this one. So in a professional and attractive format, you will create what? Report. So creating report help you to better analyze your data in a professional and attractive manner. So reports allows you to customize the appearance of your data. And that is what the report does. So basically that is just that. The last one that I've not talked about is called previewing and printing what? Table or report. You can write this down. Say what? The last step. So the last step is to print a hard copy of the data. Okay? Is to print a hard copy of the data or the database. This step involve previewing and previewing the document as it will appear when printed. Previewing allows you to check the document overall appearance and make any final changes needed before printed. So the last step in database development is called previewing and printing a database. So that's the last step. As I said earlier on, that I said what it is the last step of what of database development, and this is to print a hard copy of the data or the database or a report. This step involves previewing the document as it will appear when printed. Previewing allows you to check the document overall appearance and to make any final changes before printing. So the development of a database follow these very steps. I shall get in it. So basically that is just that, and this brings us to the end of today's segment.